G'day everyone and welcome to Exam Eve. This is just going to be a very short video with some last minute exam tips to get you through tomorrow. I have included a quote for today just for shits and giggles. It is the night quote, just do it, and I think that's the attitude we've got to take into tomorrow, is just get it done, because it is what it is and we can't change that now. Our key knowledge today is obviously all of it, our key skills is all of it, and our essential question is simply, how do I do as well as possible tomorrow? And to help you with that, I'm just going to give you 5 key exam tips to take into tomorrow to try and think about that will hopefully maximise your performance. And these key exam tips come directly out of the past 5 examiners' reports. So this is the things that the examiners are saying they want to see in the legal studies exam. Number 1 is paragraphs. This is a common one. It's in the intro to pretty much every examiner's report ever. And the idea that anything that is a longer response question, so we're talking probably even 4 marks or higher, you should be breaking into paragraphs. One of the key reasons this is it just simply makes it easier for the examiner. It's easier to follow your answer through, to stop at a certain point to make a note or whatever, and then read on to the next part. And another element of this is to signpost your answers. So start each paragraph with a word like however, or whereas, or in addition to show where your argument's going. I'll quickly show you. I've just included this sample answer here, and as you can see, I've used no paragraphs, and it's a 10-mark response, and it is just a massive words. And I imagine if you were actually marking this, imagine looking at this and thinking, where do I start? What is this person trying to say? Compared to if it looks like this. You see, as stated, however, in contrast to this, and signposting the start of each paragraph. So it's super important that you do that, and something that everyone can do. So use your paragraphs. Number 2 exam tip is task words. Okay, this is where you need to use your reading time really carefully. Not every question is going to be an explain question. Not every question just needs you to outline some content knowledge. Okay, questions are going to need you to think critically. So you're going to need to look for task words like discuss, evaluate, and make sure you include both sides. Things like advise, where you're going to have to bring reasons for why you think a certain way and justify it. If you just go in and say it's advise on whether you should use Consumer Affairs Victoria, and you just explain what Consumer Affairs is, then you haven't actually answered the question. So make sure you read those task words really carefully. A lot of my kids like to underline them or highlight them so that they really remember what they're responding to. Tip number 3 is, and it's probably quite late to be letting you know this, but don't bring in any pre-prepared answers, or don't have any pre-prepared answers ready to go in your head. This is one of the key reasons why they've designed this study design the way they have, that focuses on application and has case studies involved, because they were concerned about the number of students who were just bringing in rote learned answers. And effectively, like with the point beforehand about task words, they're going to try and write questions where you can't just dump a heap of words that you've memorized down, where you actually have to respond to a prompt, justify, pull words out of a scenario. So if you've got pre-prepared answers, obviously they'll help you understand the content, but I'd be making sure you're not looking to actually use them tomorrow. Number 4, and again along the same lines, obviously reading the questions carefully for the task words, like I've already said, but just in generally reading the questions carefully in terms of what content they're asking for. So there are a lot of really simple mistakes that students often make. One of the big ones is the difference between the separation of powers and the division of powers. Don't accidentally get in a panic in reading time, forget to read the question carefully and respond about the completely wrong content. If you're asked about a High Court case on Section 7 and 24, don't accidentally write about the Brisbane case and division of lawmaking powers. Okay? Write about Roach. So make sure that you really take a moment to have a deep breath, read the question carefully, and respond with the right content. Okay? Look through the question. Is it about criminal law or civil law, or can you talk about both? Does it say accused, prosecution, that sort of language? Okay? Is it about the federal parliament or state parliament? Really easy for it to be about state parliament, and you just start talking about the House of Representatives or the Senate. So make sure you read that really, really carefully, again, particularly in reading time, and make sure that you're using the right content. Finally, one that surprisingly a lot of kids need to be told is that you start on 0. You walk into this exam with 0 marks. You don't walk in with 80 and then lose marks if you get things wrong. You start on 0, so if you leave a question unanswered, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. Even if you don't necessarily know, try and rack your brain for anything you can possibly put down that might get you a mark or even 2 in one of those answers, because that can make a big difference at the end of the day. Again, you don't lose any marks if you get a question completely wrong, but you don't gain anything by leaving something unanswered as well. Ultimately, you want your exam to be out of 80, not out of 75 or not out of 65, because then you're just letting yourself down and letting other kids go past you. As I said, just look at these two again, these 2 sample answers, to really remind yourself of why it's important to break your answers up into paragraphs. Naturally, I wish you the best of luck for tomorrow. I hope that the questions are not too easy, so that it gets a good chance to differentiate between different levels of students, but hopefully you'll be able to respond to them based on the videos. Best of luck, and enjoy your freedom afterwards.